First time. Hey, all right. Hi, filmmakers. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Welcome. And hey, audiences, what a great group of films, great block of programs of films. Welcome to the Q&A for the program Current Perspectives, part of the SF Indie Fest Indie Shorts Film Festival 2021. We're very fortunate to have these films in our festival and also the filmmakers here with us to answer questions about their films and filmmaking careers. We got a great group of filmmakers from around the world. Where are you guys calling from? Ali, is that your name right there? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, I'm from Lebanon.
Lebanon. Johnmaria, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Milan, Italy.
Milan, Italy. And my friends, if I mispronounce your names or say your names incorrectly, please correct me. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Epor, is that correct?
Yeah.
Where are you guys calling in from?
From Hungary, from Budapest.
Fantastic. And I got David and I got film engineer. And I'm sorry if I'm calling you film engineer, but I know you weren't able to change your name. Where are you guys calling in from?
I'm just outside of Portland, Oregon.
My name is Jafar. I'm from Lebanon.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Jafan. Well, all right. Guys, first off, congratulations for getting into the film festival and well done on just making a movie. I know how hard it is. I'm a filmmaker myself. But real quick, in case people don't know, and so I can get re-familiarized with you, why don't you quickly introduce yourselves, basically your film, your name, your film, and your role in the film, and briefly, very short, because we just watched your movies, what it's about. And Jafar, I'm going to start with you, since your reception might be a little spotty. Let's see if we can hear you for a little bit. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please. Okay, skipping over to Apar. I'll go with you, please. Apar?
Sorry, my English is a little bit rusty, so my friend will translate if you don't mind, because I can't express myself as good as I want, so Agi will help me.
Fantastic. You're welcome to do that. Go ahead, Agi. Introduce Apar in the film.
Yeah, so we are a bunch of students from Budapest, and Apor was the director of the movie, and all the other people are the crew, part of the crew. And the movie is basically about how one struggles with losing their senses and what repercussions it takes in a very surreal and experimental way.
And could you repeat the title for the audiences?
Yeah, Apor.
Yeah, it's a passing sense.
Passing sense. Excellent. Thank you. David, how about you? Introduce yourself, please.
I am David DiRienzo, and my film is Down the Road, and it is about basically a guy that goes back in time to try to convince his 10-year-old self not to grow up to be such a douchebag.
All right. Ali, if you would please introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. So basically, my name is Ali Dekmak. I come from Lebanon again, and I'm a Lebanese filmmaker. My film title is Tamuzi. I'm the writer and the director of the film, and basically my film talks about a child who is obsessed with Ninja Turtles and video games. He's heading south with his two sisters for vacation, but the bombing starts and he forgot his console at home, so he takes the utmost risk to go back and get back his game.
Fantastic. Thank you. Johnmaria, please, if you'd introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am Johnmaria Sortino. I am the writer, director, and co-producer of Festa Grande, aka Great Celebration. It's a short movie that talks about a family initiation in which a specific rite, that is the pig butchery, marks the price to pay to pass from adolescence to adulthood for Marco, the main character of the film.
Fantastic. Yes, and then one more try for Jafar. Are you able to introduce yourself?
If I may say something about Jafar, please.
Yes.
Okay, Jafar is my cinematographer, so he was
Oh,
the cinematographer in Tamuzi. So yeah, we are very sorry because we are having a very difficult situations in Lebanon. So yeah, I
yeah.
apologize about that.
No apology necessary. We appreciate you making the effort and being here.
Thank you.
Fantastic. It's good that Jahar's here. Well, I'll start with you, Ali, since we're talking right now. We have a great mix, eclectic group of films, a
Yeah,
variety of films. We have experimental, we have subjects of racism, we have narrative shorts, we have animation, um, we have documentary in this block of films, all covering many different perspectives, moods, experiences, all wonderful films. We were very happy to receive your films and show different perspectives from around the world with this group of movies. But Ali, let me start with you. Where did your inspiration? I should even add, as you said, we even have Ninja Turtles in these movies.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
where did your inspiration come from for this movie?
Okay. First of all, this is my first Q&A. Okay, ever.
Congrats.
So I want to thank you all guys for listening and for having me here. Me and Jafar are very proud of this opportunity. Second of all, I would say honestly, this came up from the inner me because this is my true story. I was that boy. I was Tali, the 10-year-old boy who was going on a vacay, and then he was stuck for 4 days in a shelter with his sister under the bombs. And to be honest, this is not the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. So I wanted to make something about this. I wanted to get rid of this trauma. So I used cinema because cinema is a very important tool to get rid of traumas, to be honest, and to show the audience all over the world that how did I dealt with it and how it felt. So yeah, basically this is my inspiration and this is my story.
Fantastic. It's a wonderful film. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you,
And well done. Like I
thank
said,
you so much.
making movies is hard. I'm a filmmaker, so yeah, quite an accomplishment to all of you. Uh, David, yes, applause to Ali and all our filmmakers. How about you? What was your
Thank you, guys.
inspiration, David?
My inspiration was kind of related to my relationship with my father, or my lack of relationship with my father. I never knew my dad, and my mom never really talked about my dad. So I had made up stories my whole life about like who this person that my dad might have been was. And when my mom finally told me, sat me down and said, "All right, let's talk about your dad." I was kind of disappointed because I'd always thought he was like, oh, maybe he went off to like a war and he was like a war hero, or he was a superhero, or he was, did some amazing important work, or was a missionary or something like that. And, I just found out that, oh, he was just a jerk, and, was mean to my mom and stuff. And I said, what if things could have been different, right? What if he could have gone down a different trajectory, right? What things led him down the path that he ended up going down, and what decisions that seem maybe really incidental. And it really kind of came from like a bunch of movies that were really important to me when I was a kid. It's magical realism, so there's a little bit of like Groundhog Day, where he's kind of trapped in a loop and can't get out until he kind of changes himself and becomes a better person.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of the Goonies. There's a little bit of
yeah,
Stand By Me. It's coming of age and all that kind of stuff too.
yeah. I was going to add, 80s kind of
Yeah,
stylistic kind of things that I grew up with as well. And also, I could have added in this group, we have time travel, right? If you will,
yeah.
with the film. Fantastic. Another wonderful film. Looks beautiful. Pour, your inspiration for your movie, please.
Aktuális lenne, ha azt mondanám, hogy most a koronavírus inspirált, hiszen ugye a koronavírus miatt is elvesztik az emberek a szablásukat, az ízlelésüket, stb. De ez nem igaz, hiszen a film még jóval a Covid előtt, pont a Covid előtt készült.
So it would be nice to say that coronavirus inspired me, but in reality, I shot the movie pre-pandemic.
Mm.
And the parallel would be nice because, people lose their senses, their ability to smell and taste things. But honestly, we shot the movie pre-pandemic.
Yeah, before the pandemic.
Yeah, I almost programmed it. We have a pandemic block program. I almost put it in that because it made me feel it fit well. But yours was so original and also funny. It just stood alone by itself.
Yeah, but I tell you the truth. Now I continue in Hungarian, but I will translate the other. So the true. Szóval az igaz az, hogy nekem van egy ilyen szembetegségem, a szemem, tehát a látóterem az szűkül befelé, és sokan mondták, hogy ezt meg kéne mutatnom, hogy én hogy látok. De nem szerettem volna, hogyha csak erről szól, hogy valakinek a látása elmegy, hanem úgy akartam bemutatni, hogy minden irányból megszűnik az érzékelése az embernek, és ennek egzisztenciális okai vannak. Filozófiai okai.
Ever since from my childhood, I had problems with my eye, like with my vision. I have an eye disorder, and ever since from school, people were asking me, but how does this problem look like, and how do you see, Apor, and what do you see?
And show it.
And please show us how you see stuff. And this was the basic instinct that led me to making this movie, but I wanted to, of course, dramatize it and raise the stakes of the movie, that the hero starts to lose all of their senses, and in the end it turns into this existential philosophical crisis for him.
Right. And again, also very well done, very well captured and portrayed your, perspective, your POV. You had me mesmerized from the very beginning. So well done also. And now I'm also seeing, after talking to all of you so far, and Johnmaria will go to you next, this inspiration from personal stories, from your personal lives, which that's the best place, the best well to be a storyteller sometimes, correct? Johnmaria, tell us your inspiration, please.
So it was kind of a personal experience too. The pig slaughter was something that I used to do in my family when I was younger. And it's something, it's a very strong and uncommon thing to do. But in Italy, there are some people that do it, there are still some people that do it in the countryside. And I always wondered how to represent this pig slaughter, because it was always horrifying me and always attracting me at the same time. So it was kind of a challenge to thinking a way to represent it.
Yes. Being an animal lover, also it was disturbing, but you handled it well. You were very subtle, if you will.
Yeah.
So well done on that as well. Not to mention, very beautifully shot film. All your films are very beautifully shot. I was in your space. I felt like I was in the countryside, at the farm, at the family's place, lands.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. What, Johnmaria, I'll continue with you. Speaking of what I just said, what did you hope audiences, after watching your film, would feel or would come away with? Or, simply, was it just be entertained or be introduced to another perspective or whatnot? What did you hope they would come away with?
Well, first of all, not horrified, because I didn't want to do a splatter movie,
Yeah.
So it was entertaining. I won't say that. At the end, there is a very disappointing, feeling from the world, from the father, from the life. So It was just, a thought, maybe a consideration about how the word harsh can be to us sometimes. You have no audio?
I'm sorry, I muted myself. Sorry about that. David, also for you, a reaction you were hoping audiences would feel, or a lesson, or a mood, or just pure entertainment?
I think that it was the most gratifying thing for me was that it, in spite of only being 10 minutes, people resoundingly said it told a complete story, and it had like that kind of narrative arc, and it didn't feel like it was that short, right? In a good way. And it kind of went
Right.
through a range of emotions. It balanced humor, it balanced, kind of lessons, and it had kind of these emotional tonal shifts, but they weren't done clumsily.
Yeah, true. That's the beauty of short films, right? If you can execute it, this kind of complete world, complete story in a very short form. When people come to a short film program at a film festival like this, they may come for your film, but then they get to see all of our films, all your films, and maybe they don't necessarily like all of them, but they are introduced to different worlds, different forms, different mediums. So that's the beauty of shorts, and you guys all have a nice mix of wonderful stories here. Apor, do you hope, I can kind of maybe surmise, but what do you hope people leave with after watching your film?
Hát azt szerettem volna, hogy átérezzék valamilyen szinten ezeket a szociális problémákat, amik vannak a filmben, illetve hogy találkozzanak ezekkel tehát hogy a hétköznapi nyelvre lefordított, vagy hogy egy hétköznapi ember megéli ezeket a filozófiai problémákat, elgondolkodik a léten, elkezd kételkedni, ilyen Heideggeri, Schopenhaueri, kicsit buddhista gondolatokat szerettem volna közvetíteni, ahogy ezt megéli egy hétköznapi ember.
So basically, I wanted them to feel all the social anxiety one feels when dealing with these problems. And also, I wanted to find a language that about how an ordinary person, for the lack of a better word, how an ordinary person feels all these questions about their existence in a Schopenhauer and Buddhist way. But it's important that an ordinary person has these problems, but may not have the the skill set to convey these feelings. But I wanted to convey it the way that the person feels.
And you accomplished that. Fantastic. And then Ali, also, reaction you wanted to convey or communicate, want an audience to feel?
Well, to be honest, I just want the audience to feel, or to believe, or to see that the Lebanese young Ali, the 10-year-old boy, is similar like Jason in the United States, and Jason is a copy from Arturo in Spain, and Pedro in Mexico, and Ahmed in Yemen. So when you are a child, you don't care about any future struggles, you don't care about any political parties, you don't care about any war that it's not your war, so you just care about one thing, and one thing is just playing, be yourself, being innocent, and it's your right to be innocent, and this is all what I care about, childhood. And I really believe that the audience, sorry, will relate to this, because we are all humans after all.
And we all start off as children as well. Yes, agreed. So Apor, and I'll ask this of all of you again. it almost feels like, you made the movie yourself, because you create that first person perspective very well. But you had collaborators. How long did it take you to make it? And what were a challenge or two to make it? What were some challenges?
Igazából egy pár napba kellett megcsinálni, nem sok idő volt rá, nem nagyon ismertem, nem is nagyon láttam hasonló filmet, ami végig ilyen szubjektívből játszódik. Maximum a Hardcore Henry, de a GoPro tudom, hogy nem egy ilyen esztétizáló képet nyújt, nem is volt ez célom, hogy esztétizálni ezzel a filmmel. Azt szerettem volna, hogyha a forma és a tartalom az összefügg és alkot egy koherens egészet.
So it only took them a couple of days to shoot it. They did not really have more time than that.
Wow.
But the main and he knows that the GoPro doesn't really give like an aesthetic view or an aesthetic cinematography, but it wasn't the point. The point was to create a visual and like an audiovisual world that is coherent in form and function as well.
Yeah, you created a style to tell your story. Ultimately, it's about the story, right? I mean, no matter what tools you may have. Yes?
Sorry?
Ultimately, it's about the story and not the camera, right?
Yeah.
So, and you conveyed your perspective and your story excellently. Sounds like with the GoPro. Is that what you used?
Yes, he used the GoPro camera, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I just only use the GoPro, and I want the whole movies, the perspective of the GoPro, except the last picture, because it was made by usual camera.
Yeah. And so here's a question for you. How did you recruit and cast the cactus?
Hogyan válogattad be a kaktuszt?
Szerettem volna valami olyat, ami ezt az egészet jól szimbolizálja. Ez egy gyakorlatilag egy szimbolikus értékkel rendelkező dolog. Nem szeretném megtörni a filmnek vagy ennek a szimbólumnak a misztériumát azzal, hogy ez mit jelent, hiszen ez egy projekciós felület, azt szeretném, hogy mindenkinek más jelentsen. Jó.
So, what was the beginning?
That's a long answer for a cactus.
It's a little bit hard.
I wanted to find something that functions as a symbol to the whole movie and the feeling feelings the hero feels. And I don't want to give away its mystery by explaining it. In fact, I want everyone to have their own explanations of why that means, but this was also the part of the coherent language I wanted to find, and I aim to find with the whole style.
Excellent. Yeah, you left me with the question, and I always, that's nice to when it's not, when an end of a movie is not, wrapped up nicely with an answer always, so you left me going, what, it got me thinking about it, and that's a good thing. David, what were some challenges making your movie?
Oh, I think especially in independent filmmaking, challenges usually break out into like logistical and creative, and creative challenges, how do I, with a shoestring budget, how do I go back to the 90s and not have to like find 90s cars and try to make everything 90s accurate? So I just really just kind of focused in on a couple props and really just tried to bring that through. So like I had, you know, close up on an SNES cartridge, close up on a pair of Nike, you know, pumps from, you know, Reebok pumps from the 90s.
But you also had a lot of wide shots, you know, in the neighborhood and whatnot that never took us out of the 80s or whatever period of time that was.
Right, and that was using creative depth of field, so that way, you know, anything that I didn't want, you know, to give away. Oh, that's, you know, obviously a late 2000s, you know, Toyota Tundra. Well, that's going to be out of focus. And also with the lenses that we use, so I couldn't afford to shoot on film, which, you know, I would have loved to have done. But we did have a vintage set of Zeiss Ultranon lenses. I was fortunate enough to have a guy, a cinematographer, Tony Foresta. He worked on a lot of really great movies, Dead Presidents, and he had this set of Zeiss Ultranon lenses that were used on Poltergeist, and they just gave the film this kind of very filmic look. And you know, that I feel like subconsciously takes you there. Logistic challenges, I mean, independent filmmakers, it's always money, right? It's always just trying to find backing and feeding people and you know, getting equipment together.
Well, one of the rules too, like, I mean, you didn't have like a baby or a child, but you had a young kid. Also, sometimes it's like in, you know, independent filmmaking, don't use children, don't use animals, and keep it in one location. No, or don't have explosions or special effects, you know. So having a kid might have been a little bit, you know,
right.
scary.
And I really lucked out there. Lee Karlinski, who played you know, young Dan, he was amazing. And it's really hard to find a kid that he just has that intuition. He had that comic timing. And, you know, in the middle of the film, there, you know, just testament to him and the chemistry that he built with Dan, you know, Dan Jopling, who plays his older self. He, you know, there's a almost 4-minute oneer, and that's really hard to do with a kid. And it's all dialogue, and they just nailed it. So I really lucked out there, and it's really just about finding the right person and not settling for anything less than perfect when it comes to your actors.
Yeah,
because bad acting, I feel like, is kind of the thing that undermines independent film the most.
For sure.
You can skimp on anything else, but not your talent.
I am very aware of that in many of the submissions, unfortunately. Ali, since you had a kid as well in your film, was that a challenge, or what were some challenges?
To be honest, I was about to talk about a different challenge. Basically, I don't want to sound rude or negative about Lebanon, but for all Lebanese people, every day in Lebanon is a challenge. So the biggest challenge was defeating the impact of the Beirut explosion that happens in August 2020, August 4th. Basically, you lost people, you lost houses, you lost many things, and then the whole process. We were in the post-production phase, and the whole process got stopped and put on hold because the NGO that produced the movie Loyak made a campaign called Rise Up Beirut, and more than 200 volunteers contributed to rebuild the city. So the thing was, the most different challenge maybe was mentally, not physically. And but then you look at the mirror and say that, I mean, it's not the right time to surrender, and this will give you more motivation to continue and finish the film, and then to dedicate it to every child who cried or felt scared from that bombing or crime, and for every old man who is homeless now. But dealing with Kareem, my main character, the 10-year-old boy, at first I was I was a bit scared because, you know, dealing with kids and stuff. But we had something in common. I mean, we had the same glasses. He loves Ninja Turtles also, but he loves Raphael, not Leo. So we used to have conversation about why Raph. He says Raph is cool, or Leo is more serious. So everything was. I think it was meant to be, and I'm very proud because I saw a copy of myself. You know, Kareem is literally a copy of myself, but the struggles were more mentally and not physically as a first-time filmmaker.
I can't even imagine, being here in America where we just concern ourselves with just the making the movie challenge and not the surrounding,
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Johnmaria, your challenges.
Yeah, after what Ali said, I mean, I
Right.
will sound really naive and superficial, but the main problem was the dust. There was no dust during shooting.
Yeah, I should have maybe ended with Ali, but dust is a problem. The weather for sure. But your actors are so. All the acting is really good, but your actors were fantastic. Where
We
did you
did a
find
lot
them?
of really long process, especially to find the main character Marco. It was a long casting, when you have no money, as David said, you have to do in the weekends and so on. So we did a really long casting, but it was worth it.
Yeah, you can tell it's worth it. Well, we only have time for a couple more questions. If you guys want to ask each other a question, raise your hand and squeeze it in there because we have one or two more questions. Time for that. So, Johnmaria, what was a filmmaking highlight, a memory, something that made you, very happy, a favorite moment, either filmmaking or the result?
Filmmaking, definitely.
I mean, like in your movie, like where you accomplish something, you're like, oh yes, we got that scene, or I was able to make this camera move. Did you have a moment that was a highlight?
It was all about the performance of the actors. When the actors did something really good, really, from the deep, something really true, it was fantastic. Just that.
Do you have if you were sitting in the movie theater and you're seeing a scene or watching your movie, do you have a favorite scene from your movie?
Well, the very beginning and the very end, I would say. Yeah.
They're beautiful. Yeah. Your opening is fantastic.
It's pretty
Ali, how
mysterious.
about?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, you don't know what's happening, so it's pretty. There is some kind of a mystery. You don't know what's happening there. That's it.
True.
In the beginning.
Yeah. Ali, a favorite filmmaking moment or a favorite scene?
Yeah, well, the whole process was of course magical and amazing, but reliving that moment in the same place in the same house that the actual event happened is something beyond this world, and I truly I feel goosebumps when I first see Leonardo in the frame. When the two sisters are arguing and fighting and blaming each other, and we have a close up on Ali's face, and Ali is now thinking, what should I do? I'm scared. I'm gonna cry now. Where's my mom? Blah blah blah. And then we hear Leonardo's voice in his head saying, Ali, you're a ninja. And then Kawabanga. this
Yeah.
song, this scene is a thing for me, to be honest.
Especially among many things, like when your words are lifted off the page by the actors and come to life.
Exactly,
It gives you
exactly,
goosebumps.
exactly, totally, 100%. Yeah.
Apor, a favorite moment, accomplishment, a favorite scene, both for your
Igen,
movie.
az nagyon jól esett, hogy fiatalok és idősek is egyaránt élvezték a filmet. Matthias barátom levetítette a születésnapján, és ott is sok mindenkinek tetszett, különböző nemzetiségű embereknek, az egyetemen idősebb tanároknak tetszett, és egyik tanár úr, aki Jancsó Miklósnak volt az operatőre, Jancsó Miklós filmeknek is, ő elszédült tőle, és ez külön egy elismerés volt nekem.
So the most satisfying thing was that people from all generations young people, old people, people from different countries similarly enjoyed the film. My friend Matthias here organized a viewing at his birthday, and people from all nations were there, and they similarly enjoyed it. And another highlight was the screening at the university that I attended. It's a film university, and among the teachers sat the man who was a cinematographer for Miklós Jancsó, a Hungarian director, and he said that it felt so dizzying to watch it, and he felt this kind of vertigo after watching the movie, and it was a real compliment for Apor.
A kedvenc jelenetem pedig az a kuka szagolgatós rész, illetve a cigi elnyomós rész. Ezt a két jelenetet saját magam vettem fel, úgyhogy rajtam volt a GoPro, mert Árpi barátom a főszereplő, és ő narrálja, az összes többit ő vette fel, de ezt a két jelenetet, ezt én vettem fel, és hát rohadt büdösek voltak azok a kukák, de úgy érzem, hogy megérte.
I'm sorry. So my two favorite scenes are the garbage smelling scene and the cigarette and the putting of the cigarette scene, because in these two scenes I shot myself. I mean, Apor shot himself. He put on the GoPro and he was the actor. Arpi was the lead in all other scenes, and he's also the narrator of the movie. But these two scenes, I was the stuntman, and that garbage was really, really smelly. But I feel it was really worth it.
Excellent. Ali, you had your hand up for somebody?
No, that was an accident. Sorry.
David, some favorite moments, filmmaking moments.
I think my favorite moment was this line right before young Ryan's about to go off and fight this bully that he's been terrified of his whole life, and that's kind of the moment that sets his older self on the right trajectory to not being a coward and not avoiding all these things all his life. And he looks up at his self and he says, you know, you're a lot cooler than I remember, right? And he says, too bad I turned out to be such a tool. And I'm like, all these jokes that I put in, that I'm like, are these gonna land? Like, are people gonna find these funny? And you know, because it's my sense of humor. And worse yet, like when we did the first screening here in Oregon at the Portland Comedy Film Festival, you know, it was in October, so we weren't in a screening room. We were actually, it was in a drive-in setting. So we actually did it at a winery that had a drive-in. We had a big, you know, screen posted up on the side of one of the silos. And during that scene, you know, it was really quiet, but then everybody started honking their horns to show that they were laughing. So that was a really great moment.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, last question then, and David, I'll continue with you. Last parting words for our audiences, either message to people watching or a piece of advice for filmmakers or future filmmakers. What's your parting message? What would you like to leave this Q&A saying?
Ooh, that's really open-ended.
Yep. Well, usually people want to continue the message from their film or a lesson from their film, or
yeah, I think, you know, I think things that we're all experiencing right now. You know, Ali, you mentioned some stuff that's been going on in Lebanon, and there's just, you know, it seems like there's terrible stuff going on all over the world right now, right? It feels like things are.
Oh, David, you froze on us. All right. Can you hear us, David? Ali, I'm going to jump to you. David, come back when you can. Ali, a last parting words or advice for filmmakers?
Yeah, I would say for filmmakers that they should be real, and yeah, they like do as Ali did, because how I'm gonna say this, use cinema to to change your reality into a different one. Between brackets, your shitty reality into a different one, into a La La Land, into a utopia, a rainbow, blah blah blah. So basically, when you're being real, when you're being you, when you talk about yourselves, I guess this thing will enter people's hearts. So yeah.
Right on. Very nice. Johnmaria, last anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, no lesson from the film, but to other filmmakers, or to the audience that doesn't know the filmmakers world, I would say just don't give up. Never give up. Just that.
Yep. Right on. Go for it. And Apor. Oh, here's David again. Last chance, David. David, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. Quickly finish up your parting words.
Yeah, just take all the negative energy from everything that's going on in the world right now and channel that into your creativity.
Fantastic.
That's what I was going to say.
Thanks for coming back to finish off. And Apor, last but not least, a message to your audiences or to fellow filmmakers.
Habár nem a koronavírus, tehát a koronavírus előtt készült a film, de mégis most szeretném a Covid-ban károsultaknak ajánlani. Remélem, hogy erőt ad nekik, hiszen ez a történet gyakorlatilag ez egy vidám történet, ami tulajdonképpen a feltámadásról szól.
Although it was shot pre-pandemic, before the pandemic, but now times have changed, and I want to dedicate this movie to the victims of COVID, especially to the victims of COVID, because after all, this movie is about feltámadás, azt mondtad? Resurrection.
Excellent. Well, I want to express my gratitude to all of you filmmakers, not only for being here today on this Q&A, but for expressing yourselves, sharing your worlds yourselves with us and submitting to the SF Indie Fest. Congratulations for getting in our festival. Good luck getting into more festivals with your festival run and with your filmmaking careers. I hope to meet you someday in person, and I'm sorry we couldn't be in person today. Hey, you guys, you're wonderful. Congratulations.
Ciao, grazie, ciao.
Thanks, Jason.
Grazie, ciao.
Bye.